Hey guys, so I know we didn't have time to go over this whole thing in class, but I wanted to make sure I hit it before you did your FRQ tomorrow. So this worksheet right here, do you remember the one with deer, antelopes, Henry, and John? Inside, there were some multiple choice questions about Reflin and Brulin making soy and alfalfa. So I wanted to quickly go over that. We looked at this table, looked at this PPF curve and made a table that goes along with those numbers. So the first question, it was like, which of the following statements is true? Reflin has an absolute advantage in soy and alfalfa. Reflin, no one really wins for soy. Reflin does win in alfalfa, but not for soy. It's a tie in soy. So it's not A. Reflin can produce equal amounts of soy as Reflin, but with fewer resources. Well, it actually says in the question here, they're producing with equal amounts of resources. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. It's not B. Brulin has an absolute advantage in the production of soy. Well, no one has an absolute advantage in the production of soy. It's kind of a tie. People are being loud in the next room. Hopefully you can't hear it. Brulin has an absolute advantage in production of alfalfa. Brulin, alfalfa, no, he only makes 2. Reflin makes 4. Reflin has an absolute advantage in alfalfa. Yes, he does. E is the right answer on that one. And now I can see my answer choices right here is like who has a comparative advantage. So I'm going to go back to this first table and figure out comparative advantage before I even answer the question, because I know that I'm going to have to do that anyway. So this is an output problem. This is how many tons are produced. The other goes over 4, 8, 2, and 8. So let's simplify. This is half of an alfalfa. This is 2 soys. This is 1/4 of an alfalfa and 4 soys. And I'm looking for smallest number for the product. So for soy, Reflin gives up a half an alfalfa. Brulin only gives up a 1/4, which is less than a half. So Brulin should make soy. And then when it comes to alfalfa, 2 versus 4, Reflin has a lower opportunity cost for alfalfa, so Reflin should make alfalfa. Okay, so let's look at our answer choices on 24. Which of the following statements is true? Reflin has a comparative advantage in the production of soy. Reflin, nope, they have alfalfa. Brulin has a comparative advantage in the production of soy. Brulin, yeah, that's true. But let's keep reading. Neither country has a comparative advantage. No. Neither country has a comparative. No, someone does. Brulin has a comparative advantage in alfalfa. No. It's B. So here we have the same problem. So you don't have to keep making the same table. You can just keep flipping back and forth. It says, refer to the graph. Brulin's opportunity cost of producing 1 ton of alfalfa. So basically, in Brulin, how much does 1 ton of alfalfa cost him? So I already did the math, so let's just look at it. Brulin, you find the Brulin, you find alfalfa. What it costs them is this number right here. It looks like 4 soys is what it costs. And we have that. They forego, which means to give up 4 tons of soy. Then it says, what is the opportunity cost of 1 ton of alfalfa in Reflin? So Reflin, 1 ton of alfalfa, go back to our table. In Reflin, 1 ton of alfalfa is, we have it circled that he has a comparative advantage in it. It's 2 soy, which is letter D, 2 soy. Okay. So far, we're breezing right through this. Okay. And then it says, based on comparative advantage, which of the following statement is true? I'm just going to flip back to what I already written. Reflin has an absolute advantage in alfalfa. Brulin has an absolute advantage in soy. Both countries should produce soy and alfalfa? No. Reflin should specialize in soy. Reflin should specialize in alfalfa, not soy. Brulin should specialize in alfalfa. Brulin, nope. Brulin should specialize in soy. Brulin, oh yeah, that's soy. We did that already. So maybe question mark next to that one. There is no possible terms of trade. No, there is someone that has a comparative advantage in each product. Okay, it's number 28 that I really want you to pay attention to. This one's tricky. So just for Simplicity's sake, I'm going to rip my paper in half just so I can have my question, hopefully, and table on the same page. I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. Oh my gosh, they're so loud in the next room. Hopefully you can't hear them. Okay. I'm looking to see which terms of trade is good for both. They would encourage the countries to trade. Okay. I'm going to start narrowing it down by looking at the ones that have one alfalfa, one soy, whatever, and break it down. So let's look at A. 1 alfalfa for 8 soy. Okay, so who would care about how much an alfalfa costs? Whoever has to pay for alfalfa, which is Brulin, because they're not making it. So 1 alfalfa already for them cost them 4 soys. Now 1 alfalfa is going to cost 8 soys. No, we don't have to see if it's good for the other country. It's not good for Brulin because they're giving up 4 soys on their own. Now they have to give up 8 soys. They're not going to do that. So A is wrong. Let's go 1 to 1. That one's easy. A 1 alfalfa equals to 1 soy. All right. So Brulin, when he makes the soy, he gives up a half an alfalfa. Now 1 soy is going to cost him 1 alfalfa. Oh, well, he gave up a half on his own. Why would he go from giving up a half to now having to give up a whole 1? So I don't even have to see if it's good for Brulin because it's not good for Revlin. I'm going to skip C and D really quick because those I have to convert into units of 1, and it's just easier to if E is the right answer, it would be easy to just get to that, and C, otherwise we can just eliminate it. So on E, 1 soy is equal to a fifth of an alfalfa. So who's going to care about soy? Revlin would care about soy. 1 soy by himself costs a half of an alfalfa. 1 soy now costs a fifth. Okay, so that's good so far because a fifth is less than a half. So Revlin's going to like this, but let's see if Brulin likes it too. So if 1 soy costs a fifth of an alfalfa, 1 alfalfa is the reciprocal, is 5 soys. Let's see if it's good for Brulin. Brulin, if they're making alfalfa by themselves, they're giving up 4. Now they're giving up 5 according to this trade agreement. They could give up less on their own. They're going to stick with what they do. They're not going to agree to this trade agreement. It was good for Revlin. It's not good for Brulin, though. So narrow it down to C and D. Okay. So we have, on C, we have 2 alfalfas for 3 soys. I don't like the way that that's worded. I want to get it into units of 1. Because that's what this is. This table is in units of 1 soy and 1 alfalfa. So 2 alfalfas give you 1 soy. Sorry, I can't read. If 2 alfalfas give you 3 soys, 1, which is half of 2, 1 alfalfa is going to give you half of this many, which is 1.5 soys. Or you could say like 3 halves. Same thing as 3 halves, or 3 halves of a soy. Okay, so 1 alfalfa, you give up 3 halves, or 1.5 soys. 1 alfalfa, give up 4. So Brulin would have to give up 4 soys for 1 alfalfa. Now he'd give up 1.5 soy. So far, that's good for Brulin. Let's see if it's good for Revlin. So if 1 alfalfa costs 3 halves of a soy, 1 soy, the reciprocal is 2/3 of an alfalfa. Okay, 1 soy for Revlin. He used to give up a half of an alfalfa. Now he has to give up 2/3 of an alfalfa. Once again, this is not good for Revlin because 2/3 is going to be giving up more alfalfa than a half. It is not C. It is D. But let's just prove ourselves right. So let me get rid of all this unnecessary math. 2 alfalfas for 5 soys. 2 alfalfas for 5 soys is the same thing as 1 alfalfa for, well, that's half of, I'm like splitting everything in half. So that's half. Half of 5 is 2.5. 2.5 soys, which is the same thing as 5 halves. And if 1 alfalfa costs 2.5 soys, then 1 soy, well, the reciprocal of 2.5, the reciprocal of 5 halves is 2/5. And that's going to be alfalfas. So we know it's good, but let's just make sure that it is. Reflin, he's going to have to buy soy. By himself, 1 soy is going to cost him 1/2 of an alfalfa. Now 1 soy is going to cost him 2/5 of an alfalfa. 1/2 is 0.5, 2/5 is 0.4, 2/5 is better. That is a good trade agreement because it is less alfalfa lost per soy. Good for Reflin. Let's make sure it's good for Brulin too. Brulin, if they were to make 1 alfalfa, they'd have to give up 4 soy. Now 1 alfalfa, they have to give up 2.5 soy. That's less than 4. It's good for both. D is our answer choice. That works well. This is a great question for FRQs because you've got extra time on FRQs. Really hard to do that on a multiple choice type question because it takes so long just to narrow it down. So it's one of these questions that you're going to have to, like, if you've got time to do it, do the math. If you're running out of time, you're already behind, any, mini, money, mow it. It's just like opportunity cost. What are you giving up? You're giving up other questions that are easier to get this extra question right. So hopefully that makes sense and it wasn't too wordy and you could follow along. If not, watch it again, see if it works better the second time.